Chris Lancaster to the library and wish her all the best with her book, and I hope that you all enjoy her talk.
Thank you.
Well, a warm welcome for you all coming this afternoon. My wife will be talking about a book, Beyond Courage, a book which started life as a journal of our son's, Andrew's cancer fight against osteosarcoma, and then it turned into a book which chronicles his courageous fight against his disease and to highlight and raise funds for this forgotten cancer. It is a cancer primarily of the young teenagers and young adolescents. I am very proud and humbled to introduce my wife, whose determination and spirit has seen this book come to fruition. But before that, I am pleased to invite Steve Herbert to say a few words. Steve is a Shadow Minister for Higher Education and Skills and Shadow Minister for the teaching profession. And among the many things he's been involved in, he's been heavily involved in the yearly health and community information campaigns, which have provided information on important issues such as breast cancer, prostate cancer, and more recently, these rare cancers. These campaigns have both raised awareness of health issues and provided valuable information. I now invite Steve to say a few words.
Thank you. Thanks, Jim. I'll keep these in my hand. Thank you for having me here. And can I just before we start, a couple of councillors who I know very well. They're not here today. They've got apologies. Helen Coleman, local councillor, and the mayor. They've apologised. They have the Eltham Jazz Festival in town today, and they kind of got official duties there, unfortunately. Vicki Ward, who's a story I'll tell a little bit. Who's replacing me in Eltham the next election, and there's a reason I mentioned Vicki, who's a great person. Chris and Jim, ladies and gentlemen. I guess as Jim just said, each year I do a health campaign, and I do it because, you know, unlike most people, you get sick of the political stuff that comes in your letterbox, and you know, there's a few things that are really important in our lives, and our health is one of those. You know, education, raising our kids, our job, and our health. And so each year I've done this health campaign. This year I chose to do rare cancers. And because it didn't get a lot of awareness, there wasn't a lot of awareness about it out there. And I knew some people who started up a new organisation, Rare Cancer Australia, to try and get awareness of it and try and get a bit easier access to drugs for people for drugs that weren't on the PBS but life-saving drugs that they need. Little did I know at the time of doing that I had a rare cancer myself, and luckily for me, you know, I had it cut out, and you know, and I'm fine. You know, I'm one of the success stories of people who have rare cancers, but it does make you evaluate your life, and it makes you think about what's important in life. So that's why I'm not standing in Eltham next time round, because I have to think of, well, what do I really want to do? And that, I guess, leads me to Chris. Chris got the pamphlet and the letterbox and the letter, and she came to speak to me about her experiences and about how she could promote her book and what she could do to make life better for people who are suffering from rare cancers. And I've got to say, there are many things in being a local MP, you know, which are good, and many that are bad. One of the great things about being an MP, though, is the people that walk in your door with incredible stories. People who, you know, prepared to tell you a bit about themselves, and in doing so, you sit back and you say, wow, how lucky am I to meet those people? And that's how I felt about when Chris came in, I have to say. A tragic, moving story, but also one that makes you think about your life and makes you want to be a better person and do something better. Chris will tell you about her experience with Andrew and why she wrote the book, and about trying to raise funds for cancer awareness. But I think the thing that shines through for me is that from the most horrific experiences comes a stronger person, and a person that wants to give more to our community and make a difference in our life. And that's what this book's about. and I'm really pleased to be here today and encourage everyone to buy it. I'm told it's on ebooks or available here or available down at Mirror's Bookshop. Get your friends to buy it. The more that are bought, the more money goes to charity. Thank you. Thanks, Jim.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Steve. I'll now give you the author of the book, Beyond Courage, my wife, Chris. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Steve, for such a lovely insight into my book and the cause that I am campaigning for. Welcome and good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for coming and giving up your time this afternoon. And what inspired me to write this book is, as Steve said, my son, Andrew. This book documents his courageous fight against this bone cancer, chondroblastic osteosarcoma, diagnosed at 21 years old on his birthday after a pathological fracture. This book is about Andrew's fight against this osteosarcoma. It also documents his courageous journey over 15 grueling months of 10 operations, including major surgeries to initially replace his cancerous left fractured femur and knee joint, and 16 rounds of chemotherapy, ending with the amputation of his left hip and leg, and ultimately his young life at 22 years, 3 months, on the 23rd of November 2008. This book aims to bring awareness of this rare and one of the forgotten cancers, and hope to help other families who may be facing this insidious bone cancer. Now, the book will have a wide appeal to a wide variety of people, in that people who have had family members with cancer, people who knows of people with cancer, or have had cancers themselves. Especially families with children aged between 8 to 25 years old, as this is a time of major bone growth, and these ages are most at risk of contracting this bone cancer because of the biology of their bodies, due to injuries or any other insults to their bodies. Osteosarcoma forms 25% of childhood and young adult cancers are actually sarcomas, but it's very hard to be diagnosed initially. This book is relevant in today's society as cancer is becoming more and more common as we live longer lives. I believe there are not many people that have not been touched by cancer directly or indirectly. Currently trending in the news that relates to my book, The Forgotten Cancer Project by Cancer Council Victoria, launched on the 26th of August 2011, Australia. Bone cancer, sarcoma and the subsets of sarcoma is one of the 15 target cancers in this project. This cancer has been selected for specific reasons such as poor survival rate or the limited understanding of their causes. Hence, the limited funding and research is channeled into this project. Recently, and I meant last year, on the 18th of October 2013, in the Herald Sun, they reported 2 cases of osteosarcoma within the same family of 2 teenagers aged 13 and 14 years old. So this book is, again, different, I guess, on many levels to other books. It is based on real life and personal experience. It is personal, as this cancer ended my son Andrew's life at 22 years, 3 months in the prime of his young life, because of its very aggressive and destructive path. It highlights the awareness of this rare and forgotten bone cancer called osteosarcoma, based on the cancer journey of Andrew with chondroblastic osteosarcoma. The proceeds of the book sales go towards urgent and much needed injection of funds for research into osteosarcoma and sarcoma. Currently and sadly, sarcoma receives less than 1% of cancer research funds in Australia. Now, hopefully, after today, you'll be able to take away from this event the awareness of this aggressive bone cancer, osteosarcoma, and to help families with younger children, teenagers, and adolescents to be vigilant in the persistent symptoms and pains, to seek medical help as early as possible. There is always a sign and symptom. To give them, if early diagnosis, the best fighting chance until a cure is found. I learned about this cancer, osteosarcoma, the hardest way possible by experience, through my son, Andrew's personal cancer journey. My husband and I, we could not have been the proudest parents to have this beautiful young man. Highlighting the awareness of this topic in my book, I sincerely hope it can help others and prevent other families from going through this awful tragedy. Even when the cancer had spread to the lungs, Andrew was willing to participate in the clinical research trial. Again, he's giving. Again, he's trying his very best, hoping that it will help others, but also to buy him more time. As he planned to live, he did not plan to die. Sadly, he died 18 days into that challenge. To end, I like to read this part of my book. He had no control of this major tragedy. It had been taken out of his hands. Throughout these 15 months of these unrelenting trials, he showed what was truly his magnificent self. Like his love on and his many admirations of his favorite film characters such as Ninja Warriors and Iron Man, Andrew was able to develop this amazing courage and bravery with his hidden silent strength to step outside what was his previous normal life and world. We could see he was subconsciously creating this transparent cocoon, building his protective mechanism against the onslaught of fears of what was coming, the uncharted, unknown road ahead. In the face of this ferocious, aggressive bone cancer, he developed heroism. I used heroism because to the many that went on this journey with him, both professional and non-professionals, they saw Andrew, his true self, one of amazing and unwavering courage. We have a website set up before the book was launched, and it is Andrew James Lancashire Memorial Fund. Excuse me. A sub-fund of the Lord Mayor Charitable Foundation to start off the funds to help into this research, into osteosarcoma. And all the proceeds from that fund will be going into the Peter MacCallum Cancer Hospital, the sarcoma services. So now we have this book that is now set up on the website. It's called Andrew James Lancashire as well, and Beyond Courage Lancashire. So this website will tell you more in details of all that is happening, and to follow the event, it's Beyond Courage Lancashire. And I like to, before I finish, I like to thank everyone coming to this book event and for all your time this afternoon. I would also like to thank Margaret and Kathy Hart of Yarra Plenty Regional Library at Eltham and Mira and Noreen of Eltham Bookshop for planning this event with me since October 2013. Also, with gratitude, I'd like to thank my friends who are here today, and Tin, Kevin, and Winsome for their media production of this event. And importantly, I thank Steve Herbert for following me on this journey, and thank you for being here today. And Vicki, thank you for being here today too. So the books are actually here now, and they can, if you haven't read the book, I would actually, perhaps if you'd like to go on ebook, you can get that in an ebook form before you get the hard copy. So you're most welcome to do that too. But it's on the Google, and throughout the world now the book is being sold. So thank you, and I would love to take any questions if there are any questions. Otherwise there will be tea and we can mingle around, and I'm happy to take personal questions too during that time. So thank you, and any questions?
Did Andrew have no symptoms at all?
Actually, he did. He did, and that is what actually prompted me and Jim to tell him, because it actually happened. It actually happened. We think it started when he had this injury during a netball event. He twisted his ankle, and then we thought it's just the twisting of ankle, and then it didn't. And then the next stage is he twisted his knee when he was playing netball, and he hyperextended his knee. And again, that didn't actually sort of resolve, so he actually went to see the GP, which was actually very quick, between 6 weeks, between the ankle and the knee. And then that prompted him to have an x-ray with the GP, and the GP referred him to the orthopedic surgeon. And on the day of the orthopedic surgeon's, he had an MRI done on that day, the 11th of August 2007, in the morning at 9 o'clock at St. Vincent's Hospital. And about 5:30 that evening, we had a phone call saying that Andrew was in St. Austin Hospital, and that he had broken his femur. And that was all we knew until then his cancer clock started. So it wasn't something that, so looking back, you would say that he had those symptoms probably from the injury, and that triggered off all the things that were to happen. I mean, not all injuries end up being cancers, but in this case it did. And so I sincerely, from my heart, always think that the 15 and 25 age group, they think, they're strong, they're invincible. But at the same time, Andrew hear us, and he actually went to the doctors. And even then, it was stage 3 when they actually diagnosed him on his 21st birthday. So it happened very quickly in this particular bone cancer, because it's very aggressive, and it has a very, very nasty behavior, because it trends very quickly and it travels very quickly into something that you find that there is no time, no break, no breath. For you, you're continuously into that cycle of chemo, staging, restaging, and it goes towards the track of the lungs. So what happened is, it is so aggressive that you have to catch it as fast as you can. And we did our very best. Even then, that cancer was so aggressive. It ended up with Andrew ending his life at 22 years, 3 months. So also, it is also a cancer that affects the young adults between 15 and 25 because, and also in males. So it is something that the chemistry and the biology of these young people in their bone growth that are different. We're not saying that this cancer is actually just in this group, but primarily in these young adults and teenagers. So this cancer, unfortunately, is throughout the world. But because of its rareness, it is very hard to even pick up unless there is an injury. So an injury that actually culminates into something that we hope for all injuries, not necessarily cancer. But in this instance, for Andrew, it was cancer. Thank you for that lovely question. Thank you. Is there any other question that?
Chris, we read daily about breakthroughs, cancer breakthroughs. Is there any research in this area that's hopeful that, in terms of extra funding, that might provide a cure?
There have been research done, but even then, the research is still way behind. Yeah, even though 35 years ago, it has been, there has been an improvement in these rare cancers, but what has happened is in Australia, there's only 1% going towards this cancer. So it tells us, and throughout the world, I go into American file to look at it, and again, 20% of all childhood cancers are osteosarcomas. But at the same time, there are a lot of intricacies and complexities towards this funding. So because it's rare, because it's difficult to diagnose, and therefore these young people die very quickly, I guess it's the demand and the supply. So because they are not as prevalent as breast or prostate cancers, they don't get as much funding or attract as much funding as this bone cancer. But as parents of young age group, I think raising the awareness now is quite important, that when we look at our children, whether our children or grandchildren in their age group or great-grandchildren in their age group, I would say as a mother, if there's any injuries, I would be taking them soon to check with the doctors. It doesn't matter if it is found to be normal, because this is why raising this awareness is one of my primarily objective, because it is not known that this bone cancer called osteosarcoma, I never ever realized this is going to happen to my son until it happened. And then I start frantically go into the website and look at what this is all about. And by that time, I would say we were very vigilant to look at the signs and symptoms, but it happened during a break. And that's how we knew that Andrew had. It's not necessarily that all bones that are broken become cancerous, but that is because of the weakness that the cancer has eaten into the bone marrow. And yes, it is very prevalent in males and between the 15 and 25 age group. So we're looking at these young lives that are actually taken away. They haven't reached the prime of their lives. And the sadness of it is these young people haven't got a chance. So I'm here with everybody who is here to share this so that we can actually bring this awareness to a general and much wider community and throughout the world. And this book, through my publisher, has been gaining momentum in the spread of this being available throughout the world. So if you go into Google, you will know Beyond Courage. You will see where this book has been published and distributed throughout the world. Because this cancer is not just in Australia. It has no borders, it has no race discrimination, it attacks throughout the world. But it's rare. But it's not going to be rare now if we are actually raising this awareness. And hopefully behind all this, we can raise funds, talk to our MPs, talk to our governments, and raise campaigns to actually bring this attention to private or public sponsorships. Thank you.
Now, would you have tea and coffee or just set it off over near the books?
Thank you.
That's wonderful. That's great.
Is that all right?
That's very good.
Well done, dear. That's good.
Very good. Really good. But you're going to have to sign the book for me. You know this, don't you? You can't. I don't know. You come to a book launch and you're not signing.